In 4 BC, Judea teetered on the brink of chaos. As Archelaus stood before Emperor Augustus Caesar, the fate of his father's kingdom and his people hung in the balance. Behind him, whispers of rebellion echoed from Jerusalem. Before him, rivals schemed to snatch the throne. And in that moment, the question loomed. Would Archelaus rise to power, or would he be the last chapter in Herod's blood-soaked legacy? The death of Herod the Great marked the end of a ruler who had left an indelible mark on Judea. His reign, defined by monumental projects like the Grand Temple expansion in Jerusalem, had also been marred by oppression, heavy taxes, and cruelty. But Herod's death did not bring the stability his people had hoped for. His will divided the kingdom amongst his sons, with Archelaus receiving Judea, Samaria, and Idumea. Many feared that Archelaus would continue his father's brutal policies, casting a shadow over his inheritance. And tensions reached a boiling point during Herod's funeral, which was a grand display of wealth and power. Professional mourners wailed in the streets, their cries mingling with the murmurs of onlookers who questioned what the future might hold. Beneath the incense and solemnity lay an undercurrent of unrest. When Passover brought thousands of pilgrims to Jerusalem, the city became a tinderbox. Protests erupted in the temple courtyard as the crowd demanded justice for years of Herodian tyranny. The riots escalated quickly. Stones flew, fires burned, and the sacred precincts were consumed by chaos. Archelaus, desperate to establish authority, ordered his soldiers to suppress the rebellion. But the massacre that followed was devastating. Nearly 3,000 people were killed, their blood staining the marble floors of the temple courtyard. The cries of the wounded echoed throughout Jerusalem, turning the sacred site into a symbol of Archelaus' brutality. What should have been Archelaus' moment to secure his claim to power instead alienated his people and tarnished his reputation before his reign had truly even begun. With his rule already teetering on the brink, Archelaus departed for Rome to plead his case before Emperor Augustus Caesar. But he wasn't the only one seeking the throne. His brother Antipas, also named in Herod's will, argued that he was more fit to rule. And a delegation of Jewish leaders arrived in Rome to make a shocking request. They urged Augustus to abolish the Herodian rule altogether, declaring, "We prefer to be governed by Romans rather than the tyranny of Herod's house." Archelaus faced a daunting challenge. He needed not only to secure Augustus's favor, but to defend his right to rule against his own family and the rebellion of his people. Imagine the tension as Archelaus stood before Caesar Augustus in the marble halls of the imperial court. The emperor, cold and calculating, listened to the arguments. Archelaus appealed to loyalty and legacy. "Most noble Augustus, my father's will entrusted me with Judea. I seek only to uphold his legacy and serve Rome as he did." But Antipas countered with harsh accusations, painting Archelaus as a tyrant unfit to rule. And the Jewish delegation presented evidence of Archelaus' brutality, describing the massacre at the temple in chilling detail. So, Augustus made a calculated decision. Archelaus would be named an ethnarch, a title below a king that denoted a ruler of a specific ethnic group or province, on the condition that he restore stability to Judea. Archelaus returned to Judea with the title of ethnarch, but his troubles were far from over. The massacre at the temple had left deep scars, and the people of Judea viewed him with distrust and fear. And religious factions like the Pharisees and Sadducees openly opposed his rule, while uprisings continued to flare across the region. Archelaus relied on harsh measures to assert his control, imposing heavy taxes and ignoring Jewish customs. His inability to inspire loyalty or address the needs of his people deepened the divide. Did Archelaus ever question the path he had chosen? Did he lie awake at night, haunted by the cries of those he had silenced? His failure to balance power and compassion revealed a critical flaw in his leadership, a failure that had been repeated by rulers throughout history. By 6 AD, the situation had become untenable. A coalition of Jewish and Samaritan leaders traveled to Rome, presenting evidence of Archelaus' further failures and calling for his removal. But this time, Augustus had no reason to defend him. And the charges brought against him were undeniable: corruption, cruelty, and incompetence. Therefore, Archelaus was stripped of his title and exiled to Gaul, which is modern-day France, where he lived out the rest of his days in obscurity. The removal of Archelaus marked the end of his rule over Judea, but not the end of the Herodian influence in the region. While Judea became a Roman province governed by prefects, other members of the Herodian Dynasty, like his brother Antipas, continued to wield power. Herod Antipas, his brother, ruled Galilee and Perea with political savvy and ambition, maintaining his family's legacy in other parts of the former Herodian kingdom. Antipas's reign brought him into conflict with key figures of history, including John the Baptist and Jesus of Nazareth, ensuring that the Herodian dynasty remained a central part of the unfolding events of the time. Thus, the story of Herod's heirs continued, a tale of ambition, political intrigue, and the struggle to maintain influence in a region under increasing Roman control. Archelaus' story is one of ambition, failure, and the heavy burden of legacy, but his reliance on fear and his inability to inspire trust sealed his fate, and his actions deepened the divide between the Jewish people and their rulers, setting the stage for rebellion and tragedy. His reign serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of prioritizing power over compassion and failing to serve the needs of one's people. What do you think? Could Archelaus have ruled differently, or was his downfall inevitable? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Archelaus' reign was brief and chaotic, but his story is only the beginning of the larger saga of Herod's heirs. Where Archelaus failed, his brother Antipas sought to succeed. Known for his political savvy and architectural ambitions, Antipas played a pivotal role in the politics of Galilee and beyond. And his choices intertwined with the stories of John the Baptist and Jesus, shaping the region's history in profound ways. So join us in the next chapter of War and Wisdom in History as we explore the rise of Herod Antipas and the legacy he sought to claim. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Stay curious, seek wisdom, and we'll see you in the next chapter of history.